radical. I usually wait to do Sunday morning on my game recap, but I'll do two. I got to do one because I will never forget this game, ever. And I think Blaze Threet's never going to forget it. A lot of people will never forget it. The wheels completely came off. This is one of the most ugly basketball games I've ever seen in my life. Really, one player, Cook for Eastern Washington, had an outstanding game. The rest, both teams were horrific. Couldn't throw it in. The referees were horrific. So, early 1 o'clock game, as rare as rain here in February 1st. And I mean rare. It was ugly. Weber at one point, I think, was 5 for 33 from 2. They couldn't throw it in the ocean. They couldn't score, whatever. So John Stockton was sitting right behind me. And so I don't ask people for autographs. I just people, and I'm a huge John Stockton fan. I fucking had season tickets, all of them great 90s, and I love John Stockton. Come on. And, I got to undo this and show you what. I don't know why I wore this today, because I always wear one of my Weber States. I usually wear my Jerry Carding. But I dug out my old Made in the USA Karl Malone jersey. Yeah. I don't know why I wore that today. So anyway, teams have games like this, but this team has just been progressively getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So this is the worst home loss in, that's what I'll tag it, in Weber State. Weber. And I want people to understand this. Weber State basketball isn't just 62 years old. Big Sky basketball, they're 62. Before that, come on, they won national championships. How about Wat Masaki in the 40s, national champion, born and raised, first player of color in history in the NBA? Oh, okay. How about Alan Holmes, who is that great Laker, Scott's real father? National championships when they played down on 25th Street. The old Deseret Gym. What a building that. Leslie Haws masterpiece. We're talking, Weber State has had men's basketball well over 100 years. Over 100 years. And the worst home loss in the history of the school? No doubt. They got to be 17. Now, stay with me. So Stockton's son, the one that's supposedly no good, he's young. You got to play. They got, Eastern's terrible this year. Eastern's in last place. They had a hurt point guard, so he came off the bench. So Stockton and John sitting right behind me, and I walk up to him, and I says, God, he looks like you. He's got 4 steals, which he did. He got 4 steals. Boom, 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 boom. And, I think he got a 2-pointer. And so, of course, after the game, people are starting to see that Stockton's there. But anyway, here's the thing that people will never forget. Now, when you can say, they're just kids, come on. College students are not kids. These are grown men. This is the difference in basketball. So, they're up by 19. It's 20. Yeah, 69 to 49. Weber's had the ugliest basketball game. It isn't like Weber had played. Now, Blaze had his usual number, 3, but, it was just plain ugly. It was horrid basketball. Weber scored 24 in the first half, 25 in the second half. It was just ugly basketball. It was the 2 last place teams in the Big Sky. The wheels have come off on this Weber State team. It isn't like they have players. They have players. This coaching staff is got to go. It isn't like they don't like Eric. This isn't a person icon, and we don't hound out fucking precipitation project. And this is the geeky fucking weirdo fan. We have good fans here. We have some great ones that have been here forever. Dutch was there. Belknap, he and I go way back. And he's like, I got some of my players here. And I says, when he coached at Utah State, it was a great team. I says, who? And he says, Rich Haws. And I says, I grew up with Rich Haws. I used to work for Rich Haws. And I go back, who's the greatest player? I went to Weber High. He's the greatest player in Weber High, history. He played in the NBA for years. And I've been friends with Rich forever. I says, remember when I used to do all your restoration work? Yeah, I do, Kev. He looks good, by the way. He played in the NBA for years. Weber High School. Everybody thinks it's Tom Chambers. Tom Chambers grew up right by Weber High in North Ogden, but his dad wouldn't let him play. By the way, another Weber State National Championship. My old coach, Weber High's old coach, Dick Conley. Dick Conley was the point guard on that national championship team. What was that? Was that 59? Was Alan Holmes on that team? But anyway, they've won a lot of national championships. We have a deep, deep history of great basketball here. Fucking mediocrity. I mean, some of these fans that go along with this are fucking morons. This is the worst loss in Weber State. So, Tom Chambers never played at Weber High. His dad's like, oh, no, he's not playing for Dick. I remember those days. I went to high school. I went to school with Rulin Jones and those guys. I was sophomore when Tom was a senior, would have been. He moved him to Colorado. Tom Chambers lived in North Ogden. His dad moved him over there, and he played his high school basketball. And by the way, he was going to come here. He was going to come to Weber, and that was another big blunder of Weber State. They played Northern Arizona on Monday, and that kid that they could have had here, who's going crazy in the Big Sky. So I asked John Stockton right to his face, and then I went up again to him. It was a good scene, shook his hand video, but I just said to him real calmly, I was up there before anybody got around him, I didn't ask him for no autograph or nothing, and I love John. I mean, I have a lot of John Stockton stuff. I probably should have got him to autograph some, but I was into the game. His son, up by 19, they're dribbling the ball out, throws up a 3 at the buzzer and banked it in. Oh, talk about sticking it. And everybody says, well, some of these douchebag fans around here say, oh, look. Oh, please. This is big-time D1 fucking basketball. This is big-time shit. Nobody does that. So I looked at John right there, and I just said to him, and because I was pissed. And I said, what'd you think of that? Don't you think that's pretty low class? And he looked at me and nodded his head like that because he was right up behind me. He would have never done it. I'll guarantee he would have never fucking done it. Oh, hell no. And then I later asked him, I said, remember the game you had in this building? Yeah, unfortunately, yes. Well, he played great. That's back when we were a great team. We were, blow them out. But, Frank and John Layden were at that game. The great John Stockton. This is how far fucking it's gone downhill. And people say, oh, he's just a kid. Just a kid. He's a grown fucking man. Who does that? My one buddy says, well, I don't even think he thought he'd make it. He banked it in. You think that fucking Blaze Threet's going to ever forget that? Blaze Threet's a big-time basketball. And the Henning kid, great play. A lot of these, this Henning boy, young man, he ain't a boy, he's a man. He's only 18, 19 years old. He played up there at, he's Washington. He played against these guys. And this game got chippy as fuck. Double technical, this game got real fucking chippy. A lot of these players know each other. You think these Weber State players are fucking frustrated? Oh, fuck. Blaze Threet's fucking big time. He's possibly an NBA fucking player. And I don't know. It was just a stamp on an ugly, ugly basketball game. And by the way, there was 2 NBA players in the house. It wasn't just John Stockton. Rich Haws was in the house. I love Rich. And, of course, the great Dutch Belknap, who's 95 years old. I love that guy. I talked to him. Coach staff got to go. I think they should go right now before the season's even over. I don't know, but it's not like Weber State doesn't have players. They have players. This guy doesn't have a fucking clue what he's doing. I mean, in, out, fucking, he doesn't know what he's doing. Smiley was his other coach, Daniels left. He's up at Utah State. We have plenty. I asked Dave Patton right there. He sits right back. What about you coaching? Would you be interested? We need to hire an ex-Weber State guy as the head coach. What about Guy Beach? I'll take him. What about Hallen? Oh, I'll take him. What about Dick Hunsaker? He lives right over there. Oh, fuck. These are guys that are fucking proven winners who all played here at Weber State. What about Jimmy Graffiti? He's been nothing but a winner. Everything he's ever touched is all. He was in my class. Signed this hat. Everything he ever touched, he's fucking done nothing but succeed. All those students that come out of our old program, Weber State, they're all successful. This is a fucking joke. you know. Weber State football got some great news to report that Jamie Martin's been hired. You know, I love Jamie Martin, you know, but Benjamin, which I call KB, he has the same initials as me, the twin, who was shadowing underneath the great Andre Dyson, who was under the great Jay Hill. I mean, talk about mentors, Jay Hill. Now, there's a DB at DBU. He's the new DB coach. I talked to Jennings, who'll probably be the quarterback here. I talked to Bird Butler. Says, how come you didn't go down to New Mexico? You're the JUCO national champion in New Mexico. And all those guys, all our players have left. They're playing for the Idaho coach at New Mexico. And he got some good ones. I'll tell you what, he got some good ones. He got 4 really great players he plucked off from Weber State, really, including Abraham Williams. Fucking, you know, it's a local here. So the worst loss in Weber State basketball history, I'll always do them outside, but it's as rare as rain. Of course it stopped raining as I get done, but that's the ugliest basketball game I ever saw. And I've been in that building from the day it was built. I've been at Weber State basketball since 1965 that I can remember. You know, the old Swenson. This is the ugliest basketball game. Weber State has not won a D1 game at home, which Weber State has never taken last place in the history of the school in 100 years. I mean, this is a stoic, historic program. You know, football's just as bad. I mean, the great Jay Hill team, I think I'd wish for Andy Ray back. This is ugly. And it's not about... We will always get great players in the Purple Palace. I remember when he was recording Joe Ball and Boy, and I was the first one that got a meeting with his mom and dad. And he's like, they look at this beautiful, incredible arena. I was talking to some people at the game Thursday night. They're from the Bay Area, connected with the Idaho coaches. And they says, hey, they look at me and they says, how old is this building? It's pretty new. I said, no. I says, 1977. No. It looks like brand new. I says, oh yeah, it's a palace. Jerry Carding to my face. Why'd you come to Weber State? Because Damian Lillard's my favorite player. We will always get talent here. And we will always place players in. By the way, Jerry Carding had another monster game. He's the best player in all of Europe. I mean, we have, 13 of them right now? I mean, Scotty Bamforth. Oh my God, what a player. Jeremy Sieglin. I mean, so many of these players, that just shine all over the world in professional basketball, but this coach hasn't got a clue. And that has nothing against us. This isn't a fucking personality contest, and we don't hound out participation fucking trophies. And Stockton's kid doing that, you think Blaze Street's going to ever forget that? You think they're, I imagine this is going to light a fire under this fucking, these guys got to be pissed. I mean, this was the ugliest basketball. This is the worst home loss in Weber State basketball history, which is well over 100 years old. Ask Walt Masaka. How come his name's not retired in here? Why don't they ever talk about Fawn McKay Brody? Why do you think they blackballed Kevin Blanch? So, by the way, I fucking love Stockton and Karl Malone. Stockton, and he was actually friendly to people, usually not. He was famous for not signing whatever. He was signing stuff, and I talked to him 3 times during the game. I'm just like, hey, John, I will quote one of my friends right here to Damian Lillard. Everybody's lined up getting Damian Lillard's autograph. And my friend looks right at Damian Lillard. He says, there'll come a time when you're asking Kevin Blanch for his autograph. So, ugly basketball. And this thumbprint, him launching up a 3 at the buzzer. He's sitting out there just dribbling. He's a bench player, blah, buddy. Just dribbling. And then, looks, there's 1 second left, and he just throws up a scud. And it banked it in. Who the fuck does that? Well, John Stockton would have never fucking done that. Guarantee it. Fuck, I guarantee it. And I don't think John was happy about it, but it is the thumbprint for an ugly basketball game. And about players, coaches fucking matter. By the way, I remember I'm sitting right up front, and that old school Eastern coach, who I like that guy, Cook, comes off the floor, and He scores about his 25th or 27th point, just goes up and he flexes right at the end and teed him up. And his coach looked right at him and he says, "Come here." And he walks over and he says, "What's the matter with you? Oh, what, have you never won a basketball game before in your life? If you never won before? You don't know how to fucking act when you win?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm old school. So is John Stockton. I don't think he's too happy with his kid when he did that. But 2 NBA players here. Great. I'll post the photo, not with John Stockton. Everybody's got those photos. I'm going to post the picture with Rich Haws. Well, I love Rich Haws. I know him since I was a boy. The only NBA player in the history of Weber High School. We had NFL players. I know Rulon Jones real fucking good. Little sister. Whoa, talk about beautiful. Whoa. But anyway, we've had lots of NFL players from Weber High. But we've only had one NBA player. Of course, we had Fama K. Brody, Weber High. We had Kevin Blanch. The great Rich Haws and Dutch Belknap together. So it was a thrill to see those guys. But it's a game I'll never forget. It's the worst home loss in the history of the school. And one word to sum it up. Well, 2 words. Fucking ugly. Stay tuned.